morning everyone, welcome to today's vlog all about the radiotherapy planning appointment. I have decided to move on outside into the garden as today is going to be spectacular, sunny all day and really warm. With that though does come a little bit of possible noise, so you may hear some banging and clanking about because there are building works going on next door. David has also decided that being in week 5 of lockdown, he's going to now paint the guttering of our house. So he's on a ladder with the radio on outside. So there could be a bit of noise happening. So I hope it doesn't distract you too much. Also, the dog is liable to bark. As soon as she hears something like another dog barking, she might bark. So we've got a few things that might make a little bit of noise, as you could possibly hear now. Also, as you can probably see, hair is getting longer and I'm now sporting quite a nice little grey flash at the front of my hair, which is quite grey actually. So all very strange as it is sort of moving and growing, just dealing with mad hair. So Friday I went to a bigger hospital that is local to us in Coventry, as that is the unit that holds the radiotherapy equipment. Luckily, with it being in a building next door to the main hospital, I didn't have to go into the hospital with all the virus concerns surrounding us at the moment. Going into reception, if interesting at the moment because of the virus. Everybody was in full PPE and there were screens up around the reception area, and everybody in the waiting area were the only people going in for treatment. All their partners and friends and loved ones were outside in cars. So it was singular people sitting in singular seats all the way around the waiting area. So all very, very peculiar. And that was the case when taking me through to the actual radiotherapy room. So the nurse that took me through was in full PPE, which was really difficult to gauge whether she was smiling or not, and very hard to hear her, and it almost put a bit of a barrier between us in terms of conversation. So all very strange, and my hats goes off to these poor doctors and nurses who are working long hours in such restrictive clothing. First thing that I didn't do, which I'm going to remind you to do, is to remember to bring your consent form in that your oncologist would have signed as you finished chemo, and that was for me a pink form which I didn't bring with me, which wasn't a problem. I can bring it when I go to the first appointment, but it was something they wanted. They also just talked to me about just a few questions around, am I pregnant, or have I got a pacemaker or anything like that could cause trouble with the treatment. So those questions were asked. And then I went into a room with two ladies and a very big Doctor Who type machine. They asked me if I would take all my clothes off and my upper body clothes, so that I was naked from the waist up, and then I was asked to lie down on a bed which was attached to this machine, which I'm hoping that I'm showing you a picture of that right now. That had certain equipment on there to make sure that I was positioned in the right way. So I had something to just keep my knees up, and then I had some sort of arm rests to put my arms above my body, which I was put into that position. They basically drew some lines as to exactly where the external radio beams were going to hit the skin. So they were kind of looking at whereabouts would they be treating where the cancer was, and they also put some wires around the scars and took lots of measurements, and that took probably about 10 minutes, not very long really. A ruler to measure. Very lovely ladies, although as I say, being in full PPE was a bit difficult. And then they left the room and I had a CT scan just to make sure that they know exactly where to position the beams when the treatment starts, and that took probably about 5 minutes. I have been told up until this point as well, because the tumour, the lump, was on the left side, that when having radiotherapy I would need to hold my breath to ensure that the sort of major organs like my heart and lungs were moving out of the way when the radio beam hit the skin. And as I was sat there looking at the roof of the radiotherapy machine that was CT scanning me, I could see a little emoji face on the top of the machine, which looked like somebody was breathing and then not breathing, and that reminded me that maybe that's what they're going to ask me to do, but they didn't ask me to do that. So that went on. They came back out again, and I asked them about that. They said because of the virus they would not be asking people to hold their breath during treatment, and they had several other ways of doing radiotherapy for individuals where the tumour was on the left side. And then they made some very small marks either side of my chest and one right in the middle. These will not go, these will be permanent, but to be honest, they were just like little moles, hardly noticeable really. And I asked them when I would be starting, and I think because of the virus, because of the backlog of people having these treatments, it normally would be a 2-week wait from the planning meeting to when you start radiotherapy. In this case, it's now 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So that was a bit of a surprise really, but then also gave me a bit of chance to digest the news and when it's going to be and what would happen next. And you would normally, I think, on these planning meetings possibly get a bit more information about what was going to be expected of you during the treatment, skin care, and all of that sort of preparation, but that wasn't given to me this time. Really, they wanted me in and out as fast as they could, I think. But there will be a telephone call that will go through all of that nearer the time. So as soon as I've had that, I will let you know what that is, what that's saying. All in all, I was in there for about 30 minutes. I think you can be in there between 30 to 60 minutes. And all very straightforward, no pain involved, no after effects, nothing. Nothing really to worry too much about. Following that, interestingly, I then got a call from the pharmacist, which was I think it was actually on the same day, which was a bit of a call out of the blue, talking to me about where would I like my repeat prescription of tamoxifen to, which pharmacy would I like it to be arriving at. And again, I think that was a bit of a shock. I don't know whether I sort of mentioned it when we spoke last week, but even having the radiotherapy call, it came out of the blue. And you know, when you're just sort of thinking, oh, I'm starting to feel a bit more back to normal again, and oh yeah, I'm in the middle of cancer treatment. It was a bit of a shock again. And the same with the call from the pharmacist, because I thought, oh yeah, of course I've got to do that now. And I think that for me, the plan was to wait 4 weeks for the planning meeting, and then to start taking tamoxifen, which had gone out of my head really. So having the call from the pharmacist, she did say to me, oh, how have you been finding it? Have you started to take it? And I said, oh no, I think I've got another week yet. And actually I'm 6 weeks post chemo, so I think I'm well in at the right time to be taking it. So with a bit of reluctance, I took it on yesterday. So this is day 2 of taking it. Read a lot of things about tamoxifen, so a bit again apprehensive as to the side effects, and reading the instruction leaflet inside the box, the side effects sort of go off the page, ranging from nausea, joint ache, to more serious conditions. So it does make you a bit worried, but I've kind of decided that, you know, I've approached every part of this treatment with a positive mindset. I'm trying to keep fit and keep eating healthy foods. I'm trying to keep myself busy. looking at things to keep myself positive and look forward to for the future, and I'm sticking with that. So really focusing on the end result here, and taking each day as it comes and seeing, well, what will the side effects be, if any, and hopefully there won't be any. So I'll keep you posted on that, probably give you a bit of a check-in every week and tell you how it's going. But on day 2, there's no difference. With you next week for a update. Hope you all enjoy the sunny weather, and I'll see you all next week.